It's an unbelievable amount of evidence that supports that these lines are taken completely out of context, and the context of them are absolutely ambiguous.
Right.
And this is Josephus, and let me point out Josephus. He wrote one paragraph that was extremely Christian. He was a Jewish historian, and his one paragraph, which exists in, I believe, a 10-volume work, his one paragraph actually said, we had the Jesus who was praised by such and such, who died and rose again, he performed all of these miracles, basically following the general, basically the pagan ripoff of the Christian doctrine, which all of those aspects are pagan, by the way.
Exactly. Now,
he did say Jesus, and that's the one thing. He did say Jesus. However, that has been completely and utterly debunked, because that part did not appear in his books, his volumes, for about 200 years after he wrote them. And I could go on a number of different points on this, but what it comes down to is a translator, I believe it was Eusebius, I can't remember his exact pronunciation, but anyway, he was noted to be the first that found this one paragraph in this huge, massive work, and it just came out of nowhere. And you have all these other historians, such as Justin Martyr, who I even quote them in my piece, who lived about 80 years or so after the death of Christ. And he read all of Josephus' work, and didn't see or reference this paragraph once, along with other Christian historians. None of them cite them in their works as well. So it's been noted, and there's other reasons as well to support this claim, but it's basically a complete forgery, and that's it. Even if it wasn't a forgery, what do we have here? We have one paragraph supporting the most incredible life of the most influential man who rose from the dead, blacked out the sun, caused earthquakes. He not only performed tons of miracles, everyone could see him rise. I mean, there's in the Bible there's at least 12 different notions of him being praised by the masses, being known far and wide. There's nothing there. There's nothing there. And it's really difficult for Christians to think about that and to really look at the archaeological or lack of archaeological evidence, and to realize that the Christian church, who ruled all of Europe for 1,500 years, destroying everything they could that could ever counter the belief in the historized Christ. I mean, it was, I don't want to rattle on about all of this, but the point is that once you look at the astrotheological basis for Christianity, once you look at all of the stories attributed to Jesus that are absolutely taken outright, plagiarized from pre-Christian gods, and then you look at the lack of archaeological evidence, the lack of historian documentation, you just have to wonder, where is this guy?
Right. Now, going back to, to paganism, I always thought this was interesting, and I don't know why more people don't catch on to this, I guess, for lack of a better term, but the fact of all these symbols, like, for instance, the swastika and the pentagram, are all pagan symbols. I mean, the pentagram was the symbol of the Venus, goddess Venus, and it stands for earth, air, fire, water, and spirit, and it's actually not an evil symbol of Satan. It's a symbol of basically life and happiness and love, and that's what they've taken out of context. And actually, the Catholics started all that stuff, and they to demonize the pagan religion. And I always thought that was amazing how so many people, Christians especially, they demonize that symbol, and it's truly not a demonic symbol. It's actually a symbol of love.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And little do they know that the majority of the symbols that they throw around are pagan symbols as well. They are not informed of that. They have no idea that the cross is derived from the cross of the zodiac. It is not a crucifixion element. In fact, the entire idea of crucifixion is an abstraction. It's a cruciform. There's numerous deities that are seen in this form with their arms outstretched. The parallels and the combinations go on and on. It's truly fascinating. And it takes a lot of research to understand this. And when I first looked into this, I was kind of skeptical in general. I never had an interest in Christianity or religion in general. I always felt that its very structure was essentially racist and elitist, and I still believe that today. I don't like to title myself as an atheist or a humanist. In fact, I don't really think that we need these words at all. It's sort of like someone who believes in something they just made up, and they expect somebody else to take a counterposition to it just because that one person made it up. We live in this kind of zeitgeist where people just assume this kind of form of duality, where it's all good versus evil, and basically you have this mentality generated by, and this is different from my previous topic, Christianity and all of these theistic belief systems. Essentially, there's an underlying current of good versus evil, and I can't figure out where this came from. I mean, you cannot possibly be that black and white about things, right? In the 9/11 truth movement, for example, there's some absolutely great Christian sects, and they're great work, and I don't put any of these people down. I put people down in general. I wish people would think more about what they believe in.
Exactly.
But there's this idea that it's good versus evil, that Bush and Kissinger and Cheney, these guys are some manifestation of evil.
Right.
It's so ludicrous because what they're doing, and if you remember, I end the piece with divide and conquer. That's one of the major mottos of the people in power. They want to divide the culture. And they use religion, in a sense. Religion has kind of made a life of its own as far as the division. It's been a self-perpetuating type of anomaly. But they divide and conquer. That's what they do in Iraq. They're dividing up the religious sects there, so they go to war with each other. They divide up the people here through all sorts of interesting means, through fashion, through everything they can think of. The division, it's terrible. And the religion itself is a seed. It is a seed of this divisionary ideology. Even people that aren't Christian still end up in this idea of right versus wrong, good versus evil, black versus white. You can extrapolate this into a form of racism that goes on and on and on. And it's absolutely pointless.
Right.
It's completely wrong and unfounded.
Yeah.
The moment that someone says it's good versus evil, they have fallen into the trap. I have a very difficult time these days listening to Alex Jones, which whom I love, by the way. He's a terrific guy.
I'm totally with you.
I wouldn't have the knowledge that I have without Alex. He's fantastic. He's really out there trying to help people.
Right.
I can't handle listening to him talk about this idea of good versus evil, where he believes he's in a battle, that he's fighting some force. And I literally heard him say that.
Yeah.
And again, he's his own person, so I'm not going to say that everyone thinks that way. But it seems to be this underlying Christian, religious, theistic, my God said it in yours, or good versus evil idea, and they're falling into the trap. You can only go so far in essentially the unification of mankind when you entertain the idea that it's a good versus evil, black and white distinction, because when it comes down to it, we have to strive for unity, and it's the individuals that are creating these atrocious crimes. They aren't some manifestation of the opposite of you. They are a manifestation of you, just in a very poor sense.
Right.
If you know what I mean by that.
No, I totally.
I wish we would break away from that. I'm really appalled by that. And that's,
exactly. And if people think about it, I mean, this is why we're at war right now, is because of religion. And as soon as 9/11 happened, you have the Bush administration basically demonizing the Muslim religion, and now it becomes a battle of Christian versus Muslim, and now you've got Christians invading a country ruled by the Muslim religion. They've been battling each other for thousands of years, and they're trying to settle their score, and it's the game. I mean, everybody knows who's tuned in tonight what's going on over there. So basically, I want to move on here. I want to get into the 9/11 part of your film, and then we'll get into the Federal Reserve. What is it was just a brilliantly put together piece on 9/11. You didn't narrate that part. You let the words and the stories and the clips from the mainstream media tell it all, and the clips from some of Alex's films and from Loose Change, and I thought that was great. And it's great how you put it together. You didn't have to narrate it. People just they were forced to read it and forced to look at it without having to turn away and just listen to you. They were forced to watch it, and I thought that was a great tactic you used. Tell us. What is the one, if you can pick one, what is the biggest smoking gun to you about 9/11 that points to an inside job?
Well, the most obvious is WPC7. It's right there in plain view. So obvious. New information keeps coming out about it. You have to really be blind. And it just goes to show how people filter information, because you look at it, and if you have any intuition whatsoever, there's just no way that structure could collapse in the fashion that it does.
Right.
It's in free fall speed. That it's so transparent. Now we have this new testimony by a man that was in there. I think you probably heard of this, who was in there, and an explosion went off.
Right.
You have all the other firefighters and police officers saying, "Get back! Seven's going to come down, or seven's going to explode." You have that big, huge explosion that you hear on that one video that HBO cut out.
Yep.
Where the guys are standing there at the payphone. Thermite underneath it. And not to mention the cover-up of it. You didn't see that thing shown anywhere.
Exactly. If I could cut you off here real quick, I'd like to take a call here. We have a call coming through on the toll-free line. Revolution Radio, you're on the air. Go ahead.
Yeah, it's Luger calling. It's my nightly call. I did see Zeitgeist. I haven't seen the new, the updated version. I think it's an excellent movie. I think I've been showing people up here in Canada, but your film, I've been showing to people that are skeptical of other information. It's totally blown them away. I have a couple questions, sorry. The first question, I hate to dip back in the Christianity aspect, but I was exposed to an idea in a book called The Hero Key that Jesus was like a part of a breakaway sect called the Essenes. And there are bits and pieces in our constructed New Testament where they kind of pick and chose and twisted things, and that there was a guy named the Christ, and it was kind of like he was like a Davidic king, but he wasn't like the King of Kings. He united the kingly and priestly pillar. And I was going to get your thoughts on that. And also, my other question, actually, I think you answered my other question. So that's good. I'll get off the line and listen to your response. Thank you.